In 1975, a janitor at CIA headquarters stumbled upon classified documents that the agency thought they had destroyed forever. What he found would expose the darkest chapter in American intelligence history. April 13, 1953. CIA Director Allen Dulles signed a memo authorizing $25 million for Project MKUltra, the most classified mind control program in human history. The goal was simple yet terrifying: create the perfect truth serum and develop techniques to control human behavior. What followed was 2 decades of illegal experimentation on unwitting American citizens that would make Nazi human experiments look tame by comparison. The program's architect was Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a stuttering chemist who would become known as the Black Sorcerer. Gottlieb convinced the CIA that the Soviets and Chinese were already perfecting mind control techniques on American prisoners of war. The agency panicked. Within 30 days of MKUltra's approval, Gottlieb had established secret laboratories in 44 colleges, 15 research foundations, and 12 hospitals across America. None of these institutions knew they were working for the CIA. The first experiments began with LSD. Gottlieb was obsessed with this new psychedelic drug, believing it could shatter a person's mind and rebuild it from scratch. CIA operatives began slipping LSD into drinks of unsuspecting colleagues, foreign diplomats, and random civilians. On November 19, 1953, they dosed Dr. Frank Olson, a biological warfare researcher. 9 days later, Olson crashed through a hotel window, falling 13 floors to his death. The CIA claimed it was suicide. But LSD was just the beginning. MKUltra's 149 sub-projects explored every conceivable method of mind control. Electroshock therapy that erased memories. Sensory deprivation chambers that broke down personalities. Hypnosis combined with drugs and torture. At McGill University, Dr. Ewan Cameron performed psychic driving, forcing patients to listen to recorded messages up to 500,000 times while under drug-induced comas. Patients forgot their own names, couldn't recognize their children. The CIA's appetite for test subjects was insatiable. They targeted the most vulnerable: mental patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and prostitutes. At Lexington Narcotics Farm in Kentucky, addicts were given LSD for 77 consecutive days in exchange for heroin. In San Francisco's Operation Midnight Climax, the CIA-operated brothels where Johns were secretly dosed and observed through 2-way mirrors. Federal agent George White watched from behind the glass, martini in hand, as unwitting men experienced terrifying hallucinations. The program's most disturbing chapter involved children. At a summer camp in Canada, young boys were given LSD without their knowledge or consent. Dr. Cameron targeted children as young as 5 years old, believing their malleable minds could be completely reprogrammed. Some children were kept in drug-induced comas for months, emerging with no memory of their past lives. Families were destroyed. Parents couldn't understand why their children no longer recognized them. By 1960, the CIA realized they had a massive problem. Hundreds of Americans had been permanently damaged or killed, yet the agency had achieved none of its original goals. There was no truth serum. No reliable mind control technique. No way to create the perfect spy or assassin. But there was overwhelming evidence of crimes that could destroy the agency forever. So they decided to bury everything. Files were scattered, moved, and hidden in the deepest vaults of Langley. In 1973, as Watergate investigations intensified, CIA Director Richard Helms made a desperate decision. He ordered the destruction of all MKUltra records. On a cold February morning, 7 boxes of documents were fed into industrial shredders. Helms believed he had erased every trace of the program's existence. He was wrong. A single filing error had saved thousands of financial records that were stored separately. These documents would eventually surface and expose everything. The truth emerged. Through an unlikely hero, investigative journalist Seymour Hersh. In 1974, Hersh published explosive articles about CIA domestic spying that triggered congressional investigations. A year later, that janitor discovered the surviving MKUltra financial records while cleaning out old storage rooms. Suddenly, investigators had smoking gun evidence of payments to universities, hospitals, and researchers involved in illegal human experiments spanning 2 decades. The Church Committee hearings in 1975 brought MKUltra into the light. For the first time, Americans learned their own government had conducted illegal medical experiments on citizens. Dr. Gottlieb was called to testify but claimed he couldn't remember details. Victims and their families demanded justice. But by then, most evidence was destroyed, key players had retired, and the legal statute of limitations had expired on many crimes. The fallout was immediate but limited. Congress passed new laws requiring informed consent for government-funded research. The CIA paid out millions in settlements to identified victims. But thousands more suffered in silence, never knowing why they experienced sudden personality changes, memory loss, or mental breakdowns after routine medical procedures in the 1950s and 60s. Many took their trauma to the grave, dismissed as mentally ill by doctors who participated in their torture. Today, MKUltra's legacy lives in the shadows. The techniques developed, psychological torture, sensory manipulation, pharmacological coercion, became the foundation for enhanced interrogation programs at Guantanamo Bay and CIA black sites. Some researchers believe certain mass shooters and violent criminals may have been subjects of unreported experiments. The program officially ended in 1973, but its methods evolved and continue in forms we may never fully understand. MKUltra proves that the most unthinkable conspiracies can be real. For 20 years, the American government tortured its own citizens in pursuit of the ultimate weapon, the human mind. They failed to create perfect spies, but they succeeded in proving that in the name of national security, any atrocity becomes possible.